In this video, we learn how to round numbers with significant figures. And to do that, we'll be working through the four examples we see here, A, B, C, and D. When rounding a number to a given number of significant figures, the first thing we'll need to establish is which is the first significant figure in that number. For instance, which is the first significant figure in 5031? Or which is the first significant figure in the number 0.007028? Well, luckily for us, the rule is actually quite simple. When reading through the digits of a number going from left to right, the first significant figure is the first non-zero digit we encounter. And I'll say that again. When reading through the digits of a number going from left to right, its first significant figure is the first non-zero digit we come across. Okay, with that fact in mind, let's go ahead and work through these examples. First of all, we need to round 5031 to three significant figures. And I wrote SF here instead of significant figures to save a bit of space. Okay, let me start by copying the number 5031. Looking through this number's digits as we go from left to right, it's quite clear that the first non-zero digit we come across is 5. So 5 is the first significant figure. And every digit that follows the first significant figure is also significant. So the 0 we have here is a significant figure, and it's the second one. The 3 we have here is this number's third significant figure, and the 1 we have here is this number's fourth significant figure. Now to round this number to three significant figures, we make note of this number's third significant figure, which in this case is 3, and to determine whether or not we need to round this 3 upwards, we turn to the next significant figure, which in this case is the one I'm pointing towards right now. And the idea here is, we need to establish whether or not we need to round this third significant figure upwards or not. And the rule for that is quite simple. If this digit is greater than or equal to 5, then we round it up. If not, we leave this digit, which in this case is the third significant figure, as it is, and we replace the digits that follow by 0. Now in this case, 1 is clearly less than 5, and consequently we leave the 3 as it is, and we replace this 1 by 0. And we can go ahead and state that 5031 becomes 5030. And that's the answer. I carry on. For question B here, we need to round 75,609 to two significant figures. And just as I did for the first example, I'll copy that number, that's 75,609, and we need to round it to two significant figures. Okay, well looking at this number's digits, it's quite clear that the first non-zero digit we come across is its first digit, 7. So 7 is this number's first significant figure. Its second significant figure is therefore the next digit, which in this case is 5. And so I can underline that digit as well. There we go. And since we're rounding this number to two significant figures, we turn to the third significant figure, which is the 6 we have right here, to determine whether or not we need to round the second significant figure upwards or not. Remember, if the digit is greater than or equal to 5, then we'd have to round this second significant figure upwards. In this case, 6 is definitely greater than 5, and we can write 6 greater than or equal to 5. So we need to round this 5 upwards, and we can state that 75,609 becomes 76,000. And that's the answer. Notice that all of the digits that follow the second significant figure are now set to 0. Okay, now for the first two examples here, the numbers we were dealing with were both greater than or equal to 1. For the next two examples, though, we'll be dealing with numbers that are less than 1, which is a tiny bit more complicated, but nothing to worry about. Here it is. We're told round 0.007028 to three significant figures. And I'll just underline that. We're rounding this number to three significant figures. And as I always do, I'll copy that number, that's 0.007028. Now remember the rule that we said at the beginning. When reading through a number's digits going from left to right, the first significant figure is the first non-zero digit we come across. Looking through this number, looking at this number going from left to right, we quickly see that the first non-zero digit is the 7 that we have here. Consequently, this 7 is this number's first significant figure. The 0 that follows is its second significant figure, and the 2 that follows that is the third significant figure. And since we're rounding to 3 significant figures, I'll underline that too. Now, to determine whether I have to round this 2 upwards or not, I turn to the next significant figure, so in this case that would be the 8 we have here, and if this digit is greater than or equal to 5, then I'll have to round this 2 upwards. Clearly, 8 is definitely greater than 5, and I can write 8 is greater than or equal to 5, and consequently I need to round this 2 upwards to 3. And so I'll say that this number becomes 0.00703, and that's the answer. Notice here that although the zeros that were in front of the 7 here weren't significant, we keep them in our rounded answer. And notice as well that although the number we were initially given had a digit which was 8 following the third significant figure, in our final answer we don't bother writing anything after the 3 here. Indeed, one may be tempted to write the final answer as 0.007030, but the 0 that follows the 3 here plays no role whatsoever. So, in our final answer, we get rid of it. Finally, we look at the last example here, where we're told to round 0.000329113 to 4 significant figures, and as I've done throughout this video, I'll underline the 4 significant figures there, and I'll copy that number, so that's 0.000329113, and we need to round this to 4 significant figures. Well, once more, looking at this number and reading through its digits going from left to right, we quickly see that the first non-zero digit we encounter is the 3 that we have here. So this 3 is this number's first significant figure. The 2 we have here is the second, the 9 we have here is the third, and the 1 we have here is the fourth significant figure. And to decide whether or not we need to round that 1 upwards or not, we turn to the following significant figure, which would be the 3 right here. And since 3 is less than 5, we don't round this 1 upwards. And so we can state as our final answer that this number becomes 0.0003291. And that's the final answer. And so that's how we can round numbers with significant figures. And that's it for this tutorial.